My guest's name is Martin J. Doane, and he is the CEO and director of Leviathan Cannabis Group, which trades on the CSE under the symbol EPIC. I love it. Leviathan, what a name.
It's the best. Yep.
Yeah, like no, I mean, when you say Leviathan, that to me implies like so much scale. Is that sort of part of the thinking behind your company?
That was definitely one of the inspirations. I mean, the Leviathan is a mythic sea creature and very large in scale and a dominator by nature. It's also the title of a famous tract on political economy by Thomas Hobbes, but
that's right. That's where I was thinking.
Leave that aside.
Have you seen the Russian film called Leviathan?
I have not.
Oh well, you're going to have to see that now that you're running the company. Yeah. Okay. So tell me, where is Leviathan located? What's the size of the grow? What's the what's the main business model?
So Leviathan is really a vertical, aspiring operation with a number of assets and a number of opportunities.
Okay.
The first and major asset is in Pelham, Ontario, which is the center of the Niagara region.
That's where I grew up.
Well, there you go. So it's right on Foss Road. There are two other LPs on the same road.
Okay.
We have a 30-acre property that was formerly a cucumber greenhouse, and we are building it out to do up to 150,000 kilograms a year of dried flower, as well as
150,000 kilograms.
That's the plan. It'll be 1 million square feet.
Wow.
Phase one, which we're currently building out and anticipate having ready in the latter part of the fall, will be 20,000 kilograms of production across 165,000 square feet.
That sounds pretty cool. When do you sort of reach that level of production?
So we would reach capacity in phase one in or around the spring of 2019.
Okay, so great. The entire market is now, you know, loaded with all of these different companies and everything.
Yeah.
And so as a relative latecomer to the game, what do you think you're going to have to do to sort of elbow aside some market share? Like, we just read a list during our news segment of the 13 companies who had been selected to provide cannabis through the Alberta program at the behest of the government of Alberta. So latecomers like Leviathan, what's your game plan for market share? So
look, we have certain, I think, advantages, and our game plan is highly differentiated. We started our life on the CSE on January 23rd, I think trading at 12.15 cents on an RTO, vending in Canada's only cannabis-focused branding and marketing agency called Jekyll and Hyde. Jekyll and Hyde is the first major differentiator. Our group, including the founders of Jekyll and Hyde, have worked throughout North America for third-party clients, helping build their brands, developing their marketing and sales strategies, and that's now an in-house asset that we take advantage of. We both use the agency on a proprietary basis for our own assets, and we selectively work with Canadian and American companies helping build their brands and do their marketing. That's
all the clever names.
Exactly.
Oh,
that's just
very catchy names, yeah.
So that's number one. Okay. Number two, the operation in the Niagara region is going to be a very low-cost operation. So we have an advantage there. We think we'll be able to grow dried flower at somewhere in the order of 70 cents a gram. So even if we sell at wholesale for $3.50, the delta is pretty good. But at the same time, we're probably going to take 20 to 25% of the production and utilize it in Leviathan branded products that will be architected by Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh.
Thirdly, we just announced the acquisition of a pharmacy that has a pre-1954 charter called PulseRx.
Okay.
And PulseRx does an institutional pharmacy business right now. It's a channel business. They currently write prescriptions for old age homes, nursing homes, and soon prisons. And those institutional channels are prime candidates for cannabis therapies. I mean, cannabis has some, and CBD in particular, have some wonderful medicinal qualities for helping Alzheimer's and aging and opiate addiction and everything else, and thus those institutional channels are very well directed. We're also going to utilize that platform, which has just applied for an LD licensed dealer as well, to use it as our dispensary channel, to have our Canadian distribution through this whole Pulse RX platform across Canada. So those are sort of the three legs of the stool right now in Canada. We've just opened an office in Europe, just outside of Milan. I can tell you our funnel in Europe is very large, and I expect in due course we will have European assets that fill in certain gaps for us there. And we're also actively sourcing deals in the United States. And I can tell you from an M&A perspective, we have a different approach to the market than most other LPs or cannabis companies. We don't participate in auctions. We have a trap line built up over the last 5 years of unique source deals. We find needles in the haystack, and we don't overbid. You know, you won't see us bidding $50 million for a license in Florida, or, you know, the last great thing in Boston because they're going rec in the next 2 weeks and everybody wants to jump in. We're patient, we buy assets for good prices, we build them organically, and we utilize a strong capital markets team and currency to rationalize and optimize the entire program.
Wow, that sounds like, I gotta say, I sit here and listen to a lot of stories, and I'm going to say that you're the first latecomer to the market that I'm actually really interested in throwing some money in, because that sounds like such a rational approach. The idea of you know, distributing branded products through your own channels in Canada sort of suggests to me that you believe that the liquor agency model is not going to be the only way that people are able to access their cannabis, and I tend to agree with you. Yeah,
look, I mean, you know, we had the Liberal government and their idea in Ontario, and I think most people in the cannabis space, other than the top 10 LPs who think that that's manna from heaven because they have pricing power and scale, is not the way we're going to end up. And I think the Ford government is probably going to push even Ontario towards a much more free market approach. We're going to have all sorts of strata of distribution, dispensaries, small pharmacies, large pharmacies. Online, I think, is going to be opened up over the next 5 years. We want to control our own destiny, and thus we will acquire our own in-house distribution, and our products will be on the top shelves of those outlets. But at the same time, we do feel that the trend is going to be more in alignment with where the big markets in the US are going.
Interesting.
And, you know, we're making that bet.
So, okay, so you're not focused on just the US or just Canada.
Nope.
You're ready for all things. You're in Europe already.
Yep.
Milan happens to be the location of my favorite clothier, which is Etro, and so
very nice.
I'll be coming to visit you there, and for sure. So then, now you debuted on the CSE 25 Index.
Yep.
So what exactly does that mean?
So look, the CSE 25 Index is a combination of the companies with a certain level of market cap.
Okay.
That's a threshold. But at the same time, it's a reflection of, I think, the judgment of the CSE executives about which companies are both the current creme de la creme and the up-and-comers. And it's a mixture. It's a basket. And, you know, indexes are built off the CSE 25, and we were recently put in. And, you know, our stock chart has been, you know, quite spectacular over the last 5-6 months. Maybe that had something to do with it. They don't consult with the company. They just tell you you're going on.
You're it. Yeah. You've been selected. Okay, great. You announced that you completed the acquisition of Woodstock Biomed.
Yes.
And what is the significance of that transaction?
So that's the Pelham transaction.
Oh, okay, that's Pelham.
And the fellow Rennie Bideneau had put that application together and had assembled the land. We helped them buy the land even before we acquired the company, and you know, we completed that acquisition essentially on a share share basis. So.
Okay. Would you be interested in looking at a 122,000 square foot GMP pharma plant in Fort Erie in the free trade zone?
Yes, we would.
Okay, we'll continue that conversation afterwards. But for now, so what are the sort of the milestones that you're going to shoot for in the rest of 2018 and into 2019 that you think are going to be key to building shareholder value for your shareholders?
So look, I mean, you can't foretell the future. I can only tell you what my game plan is as the CEO. And the game plan right now is to rebrand PulseRx, to inject capital into that platform, both to expand the conventional pharmacy business into larger institutional channels, set the stage for the cannabis therapies going in through not just flower, of course, but manufactured products, whether they're edibles or vaping or different oil products. We're going to build out the Woodstock plant, put that into production at the end of the fall, start building phase 2. We're going to be aggressive in looking in Canada at other assets, potentially Fort Erie now.
Yeah.
And in the US and Europe, I'm pretty committed to closing 2 or 3 major acquisitions before the end of the year to round out really our distribution and our cultivation capabilities.
Wow, I'm really kind of impressed. I don't hear too many people come in here with such a clear idea of what they're going to do, so it's very refreshing. So how much capital have you raised to date?
So we're just completing a $7.5 million round with a callable warrant that will bring another $15 million into the coffers by 120 days after June 30th, so end of October.
Right.
We've already crossed the threshold. The round was price protected. It was announced a few weeks ago. It's being done at 50 cents. The stock is trading at $1.60, $1.70 right now. It wasn't hard to get the round done, obviously.
Is it too late?
Subscribe. We close tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
Cut! We got to talk. No, just kidding.
Your advice is objective, I realize that.
Right.
We expect that around a couple of the other acquisitions, we could very well do a larger round. One of our differentiators is that as an in-house group, management and the main shareholders always take down a minimum of 50% of each round ourselves.
Wow.
So, we're leery of distributing too much stock to people who don't have a long-term game plan.
Yeah,
and we're 5-year program people.
Okay.
And so when we place this stock, it's very selective. This particular round, we could have oversubscribed at 500%. We were very selective about who we allowed into the round. I think we took down as principals over 65% of the round ourselves.
Wow.
And so we've done that consistently.
So that's really interesting. I'm really impressed, and I mean, we could go on for hours and hours, but I'm going to leave it there for now because
I can come back.
Yes, we're going to have you back.